First, though, we have a look at a book that looks into the iconic Harlem Globetrotters and the man who created them. His name was Abe Saperstein. He was 5'3", Jewish immigrant from Chicago's South Side who became one of the most influential figures in the history of basketball.
Globetrotter, How Abe Saperstein Shook Up the World of Sports was co-written by Mark Jacob, who was a longtime journalist with the Sun-Times and Tribune.
He joins us this morning.
Good to see you,
morning.
Mark.
Thanks for having me.
So how did this all get started, and why did they choose Harlem instead of Chicago?
Well, Abe Saperstein, 5'3" coach, basketball coach, from the Ravenswood neighborhood, met up with these black players on the South Side, and they wanted to do barnstorming tours in the Midwest, in mostly small, very white towns in the Midwest. And so he came up with the name Harlem simply to signal to them that he was bringing black guys into their town, and don't be surprised, and everything will go well. So that was the reason. And Globetrotters was more of the kind of this bluster that he always had. He was a great promoter, and he came up with. He really exaggerated his team's talent, and the amazing thing about him was he was a fake it till you make it guy, because eventually they were the best team in the world.
You know, we look at the Harlem Globetrotters now, and it's a spectacle, and it's a show, and they always play this hapless team. For years, it was the Washington Generals. What was the show like in the early days of the Globetrotters? I can't imagine they were spinning balls on their fingers and pantsing guys at center court.
Well, they actually were.
Really?
They were, I mean, they were a very good team, and they were trying to win basketball games. But they also were trying to be showy and do the trick passes and all that stuff. And there was a really logical reason for that. They were going from one town to another, sometimes hundreds of miles apart, day after day. And part of the show was so they didn't run up and down the court so much that they got exhausted as much. They also did not want to embarrass the teams they were playing. Mostly in the early days, they were playing factory teams or like college teams from local areas. And they were so much better than them that they were just blowing them out. And they didn't want to do that because they wanted to keep the fans interested with both their shows and also to keep it close so they didn't embarrass them, so they'd have them back the next year.
And Abe Saperstein had his hands in baseball as well, Satchel Paige, the three-point shot. Talk about that.
Yeah, that's a thing that I think a lot of people have heard of him in connection with the Globetrotters. But the reason we say he shook up the world of sports is he was involved in so many other things. He pioneered the three-point shot in basketball. And, I mean, Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry owe a debt to Abe Saperstein, and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
And he also he helped keep the Negro Leagues financially stable in the early years before the color barrier was broken. He helped keep the NBA financially going in the early years.
Yeah, I would have thought at some point the NBA might have been threatened by him.
Well, the book deals with an interesting kind of relationship they had because in the early years, the NBA was really struggling. It's not like it is today. And Saperstein would do double headers with the Globetrotters. And they would play the first game, the Globetrotters would play somebody, and then the NBA game would come second. But that was sometimes the biggest gate that these teams had the whole year. But the fans would leave after the Globetrotters game and wouldn't stay for the NBA game. So the NBA team switched that around to where they played their game first, so people would stay around for the Globetrotters. And that's and Abe wanted an NBA team of his very own. He wanted one in Los Angeles, and they didn't give him one. They gave him, instead they let the Minneapolis Lakers move to Los Angeles, and that's why they're called the Los Angeles Lakers now. There aren't a lot of lakes in Los Angeles.
Why wouldn't they give him one? What was their...
Well, by
jealousy,
that time,
was it, or was he just too big a presence for them?
He was a bigger-than-life person, and he made enemies by being very brash and saying things in the press. Plus, the fact is, by the 50s, they had the Washington Generals. They had this team that went around with them and was supposed to be good enough to just barely lose. I mean, that's the thing. And lose almost every game. They lost all but one game in their entire history.
But I'm surprised before that white rural communities would say, sure, come in and bring these black guys in to make us look bad.
Well, that's part of the story that's really important, is that Abe Saperstein was sometimes exposing these towns sometimes it was the first black person they'd ever seen and the first Jewish person they'd ever seen. And so he felt like he was a real kind of groundbreaker. And Abe Saperstein, he lived in a neighborhood where there were hardly any Jewish families. It was mostly German and Irish immigrants. And he got along just fine. He played second base on the Catholic school team when he was a kid. And so he broke those kind of barriers. And part of the story, I think that's inspirational, is how he just would refuse to stay in his box. He refused to stay with his own kind. He was for everyone. And that's why when he went to be a world, he put the team on a world tour, why it was so important and why he was bringing the whole world basketball and togetherness and laughter.
Well, the book is Globetrotter, How Abe Saperstein Shook Up the World of Sports. Mark will be at the bookseller in Lincoln Square on November 20th. You can check out their site and also follow Mark on X. Thanks. Nice to meet you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.